The Greuthungi, or Greutungi were a Gothic people of the Black Sea steppes in the 3rd and 4th centuries. They had close contacts with the Thervingi, another Gothic people from west of the river Dnestr. They may be the same people as the later Ostrogoths. Etymology. Greuthungi may mean steppe dwellers or people of the pebbly coasts. The root Greut is probably related to the Old English greu, meaning gravel, grip, earth. Polish grunt, land, earth, ground. This is supported by evidence that geographic descriptors were commonly used to distinguish people living north of the Black Sea both before and after Gothic settlement there, and by the lack of evidence for an earlier date for the name pair Thervingi Greuthungi than the late 3rd century. It is also possible that the name Greuthungi has pre-Pontic Scandinavian origins. It may mean rock people, to distinguish the Ostrogoths from the Goths. Jordanus does refer to an Greutungi in Skanser, but this may be legend. It has also been suggested that it may be related to certain place names in Poland, but this has met with little support. History. Jordanus, a mid-6th century historian, identifies the 4th century Greuthungi with the 5th, 6th century Ostrogothi. Jordanus also describes a large Greuthung kingdom in the late 4th century, but Ammianus Marcellinus, a late 4th century historian, does not record this. Many modern historians, including Peter Heather and Michael Kulokowski, doubt that it was ever particularly extensive. Archaeology. In time and geographical area, the Greutungi and the neighbors the Thervingi correspond to the archaeological Chernyak of culture. Settlement pattern. Chernyak of settlements cluster in open ground in river valleys. The houses include sunken floored dwellings, surface dwellings, and stall houses. The largest known settlement is 35 hectares. Most settlements are open and unfortified. Some forts are also known. Burial practices. Chernyak of cemeteries include both cremation and inhumation burials. Among the latter, the head is to the north. Some graves were left empty. Grave goods often include pottery, bone combs, and iron tools, but almost never any weapons. Relationship with the Ostrogoths. The division of the Goths is first attested in 291. The Greuthungi are first named by Ammianus Marcellinus, writing no earlier than 392 and perhaps later than 395, and basing his account of the words of a Thervingian chieftain who was attested as early as 376. The Ostrogoths are first named in a document dated September 392 from Milan. Claudian mentions that they together with the Greuthungi inhabit Phrygia. According to Herwig Wolfram, the primary sources either use the terminology of Thervingi, Greuthungi, Avesi, Ostrogothi, and never mix the pairs. All four names were used together, but the pairing was always preserved, as in Greuthungi, Ostrogothi, Thervingi, Avesi. Both Herwig Wolfram and Thomas Burns conclude that the term Greuthungi was a geographical identifier used by the Thervingi to describe a people that described itself as the Ostrogoths. This terminology therefore dropped out of use after the Goths were displaced by the Hunnic invasions. In support of this, Wolfram cites Zosimus as referring to a group of Scythians north of the Danube who were called Greuthungi by the barbarians north of the Ister. Wolfram concludes that this people was the Thervingi who had remained behind after the Hunnic conquest. On this understanding, the Greuthungi and Ostrogothi were more or less the same people. That the Greuthungi were the Ostrogothi is also supported by Jordanus. He identified the Ostrogothic kings from Theodoric the Great to Theodahad as the heirs of the Greuthungian king Ermanaric. This interpretation, however, though very common among scholars today, is not universal. The nomenclature of Greuthungi and Thervingi fell out of use shortly after 400. In general, the terminology of a divided Gothic people disappeared gradually after they entered the Roman Empire. People: Ermenaric king, Vidamiris king, Alathius and Saphrax chieftains.